Hello, lovelies. I'm Love Angel, and I'm back with Battle Basics series. Today, we're not going to have a new episode. Instead, I'm going back to an older video of mine to redo it as it had a very poor voice quality and had some missing details. The importance of this topic is so much that I highly recommend watching this video thoroughly. Today, I'm here to talk about Commander's Damage, or as we know it, the Active Army skill. Before I go deep in this topic, I need to review some details about commanders. Commanders have multiple uses for you in fights. If we try, we can split their uses to 3 sections. First section is the bonuses. Commander provides multiple economic or military bonuses. I'll get to that in a minute, but I also discussed this in detail in other videos you might want to watch. Their second contribution is their active army skill, or their raw and direct damage. And of course, we can't forget their third and most important contribution, which is their ultimate awakening skills. In this video, I will be focusing on that second contribution, meaning their active army skill, and I will not talk about their ultimate awakening skills or go in much detail about their bonuses. I had been reviewing commanders one by one and made videos about their synergies and counters that you would want to refer to after this video if you're curious about those topics. Anyways, before going on the main topic, I need to make a second introduction and review. Previously on this channel, I made a video named Battle Chess, which explains in detail how troops and commanders position in field for each fight and the meaning behind columns, rows, and lineups. For the purpose of this video, I am going to remind you all that there are 4 rows in field, each representing one of the 4 troop types you can use in fights, and their order is determined by the formation you use for your army. And there are 5 columns each, with one of the 5 commanders you deploy to fight alongside your troops. Each column will take exactly 1/5 of each row, and we call each small part a lineup. In other words, we have 5 columns each with 1 commander and up to 4 lineups, and effectively your columns contain 1/5 of your entire army. Take this image, for example. We have 5 deployed commanders. One of them is Layla Mormont. Here is column of Leela Mormont containing 1/5 of the cavalry troops that are deployed and nothing else, as no other troops were deployed. With these 2 introductions, let's get into the main topic finally. Here is what we call the active army skill. If you open the page with details about your commander army specializations, you see 4 skills listed there for each commander. Always, and I mean always, the first skill is called the active army skill, and the other 3 are called the passive army skills. For example, you're seeing this page for Jon Snow on screen right now. The passive skills separate into economic and military passives and add to bonuses the commanders can add to your troops. The economic bonuses are added just by owning the commanders, and the military passives require the commanders to be deployed. Again, I went through these details on my other videos, and they get a bit far from the main topic I want to discuss, which is that first skill, which is almost always the same for every commander in game. The active army skill is called active because, unlike the other 3 skills that add to bonuses at start of fight passively, this skill is a bit active, and commanders cast it directly multiple times during the fight. This is why it's also known as the commander damage. By default, for every commander at gold quality, this damage is 200% of the troops' damage. When we talk about troops here, we mean all the troops that are currently alive in commander's column and the 1/5 of the army that fights in front of this specific commander. Also, by default, when you have the commander at gold quality, they will cast this active skill every 15 seconds. Here's a screen of how this shows up in the battle report details. You actually can follow it up and check it out every 15 seconds for each commander and column in report details. As you see, the active army skill is with its 2 parameters. 1 coefficient that determines the damage and 1 cooldown that determines its frequency. Needless to say, that one of the main features of awakening the commanders is adding to damage and frequency of this active army skill cast. A typical 4-star commander casts active army skill every 10 seconds instead of 15 and has base commander damage of 260% of troop damage instead of the 200% at the gold quality. This all means awakening adds so much to commander's active army skill. But the question remains that how is this damage calculated for each column? Take a column like what I posted here in blue, for example. We have up to 4 lineups each, with 1/5 of different troop types, and a commander that I've shown in circle. We can confidently say that commander damage or active army skill damage is calculated with this model and formula that you see now on screen. To calculate active army skill, you need to first calculate the average damage of lineups in the column. Not weighted average, just simple average, and to calculate it, you need to not consider troops counter multiplier. Then multiply it by the active army skill damage percent and something we can call commander's counter multiplier. It's a bit confusing looking like that, so let's just talk about it bit by bit with few examples. Here is first example. We have an infantry type commander with 2 lineups. One lineup has enough damage to kill 100 enemies in each iteration. The other has enough damage to kill 200 enemies in each iteration. Let's assume that these are the raw kills and without considering the troop counter multiplier. For example, here, our enemy frontline is infantry troops, so let's say that our lineups are infantry and spearmen, and we didn't manipulate their counter bonus with dragon skills or other sources. Simply speaking, let's just assume there are no counter modifier in play right now. So how much our commander would deal damage? For a gold quality and not awakened commander, the damage coefficient of active army skill is 200%, which means the commander will deal twice more damage than average damage of the troops in their column. Average of 100 and 200 is 150, and twice that is 300. So it's safe to say that this commander active army skill will kill 300 enemies with their active army skill. Let's check out more examples. What happens if you add a single troop in front or behind of your army? If at the time of active army skill cast that troop is alive, then it will look like the example above. You have 2 different lineups. One that kill 1,000 armies and the other kills 1. So the average will be 500. Now, if that small lineup wasn't alive, you had only one lineup with 1,000 kills, so the average would have been 1,000. You see what happened here. Adding small amount of troops can tremendously reduce the active army skill damage. In other words, having pure formations with single troop type will maximize the active army skill damage. This is, of course, why you need to always use female setup with pure formations. The female synergy is heavily relied on commander's active army skill. I also need to reiterate my point that the damage of active army skill is calculated based on currently alive troops, so having few armies in front that die before commanders activate their damage will not harm your active army skill, while adding a single bow to a pure cavalry formation can, practically half the commander's damage for the entire fight. Also, if you're using Salma, you don't want the few troops, even in front, cause Salma's awakening skill triggers in first second of battle, and you don't want your commanders to deal low damage then. So, from this formula, I discussed the first 2 variables. I mean, the average damage and the active army skill coefficient. What remains in formula that we need to discuss yet is commander's counter bonus. So this is like troop counter bonus for most parts. If your commander is infantry hitting spearmen troops, the active army skill damage will be multiplied by 2. Same thing with cavalry commander against infantry troops or a spearman commander against cavalry troops. Commander's counter bonus, though, can be negative. If you use an infantry commander against cavalry or a spearman commander against infantry or a cavalry commander against spearmen, then your active army skill damage will be half of its value. Bowman commanders, of course, get no positive or negative bonus from this. Again, with some examples, if you have a single lineup that can kill 1,000 troops, and assuming the active army skill coefficient is 100%, your infantry commander will kill 2,000 spearmen, but only 500 cavalry. As it was mentioned, when it comes to active army skill, we have two variables to improve: the damage coefficient and the frequency. 3 commanders are specialized in increasing active army skill frequency: Lila Mormont, Salma, and Daenerys Targaryen, though Daenerys only improves the frequency for herself. I talked and will talk more about their awakening skills and how these commanders work in separate videos for sure. To increase the damage coefficient, though, there are several ways. Sanelli can increase the damage coefficient when she is included by a lot. Other ways include a dragon skill called Strong Assault and some castle exteriors that you can see in this slide. As you see, 4 commanders that are considered core of the female synergy add to either the frequency or the damage of active army skill. It's clear from this that this synergy is meant to capitalize on the active army skill and commander damage. And, of course, before I end this video, I need to mention the only exception between all commanders when it comes to active army skill. The exception is Commander Night King, who has a different skill. Night King's active army skill deals a percentage of enemy dragon normal damage against a single enemy lineup. His skill also has a damage coefficient and frequency like any other active army skill. But there are 2 big differences. One is, of course, the source of damage, which is enemy dragon instead of his own column troops. And second is his target, which is not the enemy lineup in front of him. He specifically targets the frontline lineup of enemy with most troops. I hope you enjoyed this review on Commander's active army skill. Don't forget to like the video and to subscribe to my channel. I wish you all the best.